This will be part. Hey guys, it's me again. This will be part 1 to What If Deku Was a Fallen. And where I'm gonna start off is in the middle of a battlefield with massive explosions going off. I would have made a bunch of sounds, but I tried recording. I recorded a very long video yet again, but it's not for the same reason. It's just like it won't let me use it. So instead of doing that, I decided to do this. So where we start off at is that Deku and non-combatants, like children and female fallen, or some female fallen at least, are they're running straight for a house. Not a house, but like where they've been told to go, because in Destiny there are houses. If you know what I mean, these will be lesser known houses. Like the ones I'm talking about are the House of Stags and the House of Lions. Odd combination, I know. But this Deku's house, the House of Stags, are being no, not stags, panthers are being maliciously hunted down right now by the House of Bulls. And they are being hunted down relentlessly. Like Deku's father right now is defending, he's a captain right now, and he's defending with the remaining crew, like the remaining combat units of their thing. And right now they're literally just fighting like a retreat, like a failing retreat. Like their shanks, like suicide shanks, dregs are being killed in the dozens. Vandals and such are trying to push up commanding, and then the captains are in the back using just commanding each of them. Deku's father right now is the only thing keeping the line of defense held together, if you can call it a line of defense. Right now it's just tiny little bits of thing, and now they're fighting towards a House of Lions thing, and they're retreating. The female and children combatants are then a position that's been fortified. They're you could get in here now. As this is happening, Deku and them are being escorted onto ships to be taken away. The House of Lions guns, all their guns are pointed towards are all locked and loaded, ready for that just moment of the enemy to come over. Deku's father and such is just barely arriving with a dozen drags and a few vandals with several shanks in tow, with a servitor or two behind. The House of Bulls hit us hard. They took out the stronghold to kill this prime servitor. I say, a couple of barons and such were sent to help them. A couple of barons, their crews and such, and a few captains and the were sent down to come and help. This was a voluntary thing. We gotta protect our allies. If we don't, where's our honor? Because that's a big part of the Fallen, is that honor among thieves and such, you know. Excuse me. But they're literally hauling, the females and Deku and his, the children are being hauled away to a place, a refugee camp essentially. They're being hauled away. Deku has some friends and Deku's talking to Nico, what's going on? What's gonna happen? She's I don't know, but it's okay. These are house of our friends. Yes. If you know what I'm talking about, you know how Varix talks. Who doesn't love Varix? The loyal. And also, not so loyal. He's loyal to the Elixir. Yes. Now, as I digress, they sort of get sorted out. And now I'll cut back. They're going through processing and such. Essentially an airport, and it's taking forever. Bell, not Bell, gosh. Deku's father and them are like, come on, let's go. And they like are sort of just like slowly like taking back their forces, like sort of like retreating them. Deku's father's like some of the last to remain with like a couple, like a baroness and like a captain or two, and he's like the last like combatant, like command, like fighting force of the House of Panther. This House of Panther like stood like in this little alliance with the House of Lions, but now it's just fallen apart. Haha, as you see the pun, fallen apart. And what's happening now is that the House of Bulls are pressing their advantage in Onslaught, but they've taken massive damage, don't get me wrong, like, they're not a minor house. They're below the House of Devils, but higher than the House of Lions and Panthers. That's why they sort of banded together, is that their power combined was equal to this house. So, they didn't unite under one house. They just, like, the two of them, like, alright, we'll work together as long as it's beneficial. Now, the Kell has him, like, being ordered, and he sort of, like, walks over and just, like, tells him to quiet down. Says, we have some terrible news, and, like, gives the news that the House of Panthers has fallen. That the remnants are, like, are the refugees that have just been escorted. And so as this happens, like, this whole thing is going down. And then, as Deku's father's, like, constantly fighting, it's like the last ship, he, like, shoves the Baroness out of the way and then just gets shot with, like, a scorch rifle. And just, that Baroness literally tears off that captain's head. Deku's father was clutching to him, and she's like, what's this? And, like, sort of, like, looks at it. And as he's like, give to partner. As he just, like, goes, like, give to. And it just finally, like, falls. Flays dead. Slain by a House of Bull Baron. And as that happens, they all just, like, finally get out of there. They lost a large, like a portion of their forces, but a lot of them were able to escape thanks to Hizashi. Is it Hizashi or Izashi? It's Hizashi Midoriya, and he's like was able to hold them off long enough to the point that they could his plan was to do what they did. He gave that plan, and they said, "All right, that's a good plan." And so, inadvertently, he saved several lives of the fallen, from dying a pointless death. So, as they're doing this, they're, like, just there. And so, this Baroness just finally just wanders around, and then finds Inko and them. She, like, walks over and, like, hands her the little thing. Inko's, a vandal, by the way, is, like, I guess, would be the rank for her. Oh, sorry. And that she said that her husband died with honor, and Sora just walks away and says, like, hi to, like, Deku. And as his mother begins to cry, he's like, "What's wrong, Mom?" As this happens, she's just like, nothing. It's just, your father has fallen in battle. As she's, like, tearing up, he's like, what's gonna happen now, Mommy? I guess would be the way that he would refer to her. And as this is happening, he just, like, sort of gets the announcement that yes, you may be refugees, but you all must put in the work to be able to have the sweet, sweet ether of life. Quite literal in this sense. And so, Deku and, like, the children are sort of put into, like, what would be best described as schools. They're, like, put into their own little schools and such. Into their little schools as they continue forth. And as they're doing this, they just go through and they, like, learn their necessities, like how to read, write, and all that. They're pretty young when this happens. And I'll say some of the characters from the anime are Mina Ashido, Kaminari and Kirishima, like they are part of his like little friend group. Like most of the children sort of take on the colors of House of Lions, with like one or two, like the like most of the, like most if not all the children take on the House of Lions. But Deku's father was a captain, which is pretty important rank. So he never really gets rid of the black and white colors. Which is, I believe, what I said where the colors was black and white. And the House of Lions colors is like brown and brown and like yellow or something like that. I don't know. Colors that make sense. But as I digress, he's just sort of walks and he keeps on these colors. Now there's a bit of friction, like with some of the people, some of the house's members, like House of Lion members, didn't really agree in the beginning with like the whole alliance with the House of Panthers. And so they're sort of showing discrimination, like they're calling them like parasites and bottom feeders. Or just like calling them, you're even worse than dregs. Now, if you don't know, dregs are the lowest on the totem pole. Is, I believe, the saying, like, dregs are the lowest of low. And that being called worse than a dreg is a very great insult. And so, as this continues on, God. I'm sorry. But as I continue to say, Belle and them are sort of like, as they grow up, they like become more friendly. They sort of ask, why doesn't he just change to the House of Lions colors? And he says, these were my father's colors. I will keep them. Sort of thing. His mother has been like put to work as well. She's like doing scrap metaling and like farming, I guess would be the way. Because how it works is that the servitors process like materials and then turn it into ether. So as I keep going, she's sort of like done for that, to like not find stuff, but like makes and grow stuff to like so that they could be put to work and use creating sweet ether. Now Deku and them are sort of put to like grunt jobs, like taking like point A to point B and such. Like they're just like essentially cargo movers. As they get older, they sort of keep on doing like more and more jobs. Deku, at one point, like the rest of them haven't experienced this, but Deku has been jumped on an occasion or two because of the colors he wears. Like it was at night when he was like walking back, he like told them to like they could go ahead without him. That he was staying behind to do like a little bit more. He's like, you guys can go. As he's walking back, like a couple of like a few hooligans, I guess, will like jump on him, and he's like, so look at this, one of the House of Panther. Maybe you should just burn those cloaks. It's like typical insults that like children would probably throw. It's like, I bet your dad was the one who died screaming. And then this like sets Deku off. He's like, you wouldn't know anything about honor, coward, maggots. And typical insults, I guess. He like sort of throws these insults like, you shouldn't have said that. They sort of like, two of them grab him, Deku, and he's like, ugh. Like a vandaler, like as this is walking around, a vandal sees this, like looks over, like, what the? And like is about to say something, then Deku like throws out his leg and kicks the one in the leg, and then like flips over the other, uses his other two free arms to like pry him off and just like throw him on the ground and like knees him in the face. It's like, come on, you wanna go? He like sort of takes a stance like, and he's like about to go, then the vandal gets over like, what's this? He's like, nothing. Just this panther picked a fight. He's like, you're lying. As he's like, oh, don't, shut up. I don't care. You, get back to your lodging, and you three, quit causing trouble before I bring it up to the captains. Then like just sort of like, sort of like scoff at him, like, get out of here, kid. Some of these some of the young ones don't like having the panther around. Wear your colors with honor, boy. Now get. And he's like, yeah, yes, sir. As he sort of gets home, they're like, hey, what happened? He's like, nothing, just got held up. And then another thing that happens is that after working like really, really hard, there was, like I said, that a bonus of ether rations would be available for those who like did the most work and brought in some like a lot, like the most salvage, which salvage is like I believe what they bring in to like have also processed to become ether, but I'm not entirely sure. Or it's just used to make like weapons and such. But as I digress. He brings in a lot of salvage and does a lot of manual labor, so he's rewarded the extra ether rations. Now, I'll say that some of the same hooligans sort of talk to a couple of dregs, say, yeah, the guy who got the extra ether rations was a House of Panther. And these dregs are like, they're like angry that they think they deserve these rations more than Deku, simply because he's a panther, I would say. So as he's walking home, a couple of dregs like sort of walk up and try to mug him, like, give us the extra ether rations. And they're, I say they don't even talk to him, they just like sort of jump him. But as this is happening, Deku manages to grab him and throw them off. He just like flip them off him, and as this happens, like the ones manages to like get a stab off like right into his eye. He's like, excuse me. But as that happened, he like sort of like backhands it, takes a knife out, and like stabs it. And as the other one tries to run away, he like flips it and like throws it into the back of the head. He's like, just falls over. Another couple of vandals see this and they see like Deku like holding onto his side. He's like, and he's like, what happened? Couple of dregs just attacked me. As he's like feeling his side, like trying to stop the bleeding, he's like, you go get a. I believe that they are splicers. Is that like they're like the doctors and such, or the Archons, one of the two. And as that happens, like the splicer comes over and just like patches him up and talks about low lives attack a young one. How about that? I'll say he's about 10 at this point, maybe like 12. And so as I digress, now they're 16, which is I believe how old they are in the anime. So maybe like 18, like age them up a bit. So through those years, they've been like Bell and them, like Kirishima, Kaminari, and Mina, have been like asking to receive some like weapons training. And they get approved at one point. So Mina practices with like some pistols, like shock pistols. Kaminari practices with like wire rifles. They like try to get them comfortable with certain weapons to like see what roles they can fit in. So Kaminari will be like a sharpshooter. Mina will be like a skirmisher by like laying down cover fire. Kirishima? Kaminari is the one I said with the shock rifle, or the wire rifle. And that, sort of, Kirishima will, like, have either two scabbards, or I believe the word is, shock rifle, or splinter rifle. And that Deku will have a shrapnel rifle, which is like a fire shotgun in a way that goes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's similar to Lord of Wolves, I believe, but I digress. And as I continue forward, they all like get their training, and one day like they sort of like are getting trained to like be guards or like combatants in like their little military force or militia. So a couple of days, like one of the vandals are told to like go round up like some other like cadets or whatever they would use for like trainees, like just trainees I guess. They just sort of get rounded up like, you come with me. Yes. As that's happening, he's like sort of asking, so what are we doing? And I thought it was like dregs and vandals who did this. You are trainees, yes. And they're like, yes, sir. They're like, yes, officer. And as they continue forward, he's like, you need experience. I give you it. And I'm talking like this because barracks. Now, come. We shall see the challenges ahead, yes? And I digress. They sort of go forward, and what they see clearly that they're about to cross, and a second later, he's like, halt. Foes appear. Like, what do you mean? And as they look over, they sort of see him. They see House of Devils. And they sort of start talking like, I thought the House of Devils lived in a Cosmodrome. And he's like, no, House of Devils, many places on Earth, fight with kings, yes. Winter holds Venus. Winter holds Venus. Exile holds Moon. Devil and kings fight for Earth. And House of Wolves. And sort of just like an Elix Me laugh, they fight for Reef Queen. Yes. But here, never here, devils are not. We report this, yes. I know if you guys don't like this voice, just tell me and I won't do it again. But sometimes I will, just because I love barracks. But as I continue forward, as he says that, they sort of go to turn around, then out of nowhere, a stealth vandal just leaps onto him, capturing him. But Kirishima's quick to act and sort of grabs him and runs him into a tree and takes one of his scabbards and runs him through sideways and just throws him down. This was heard by the Devil's captain, kill them, capture them. And they rush forward. Several dregs sort of just start taking pot shots with a few shanks, and a vandal or two with the captain. The captain has a I believe I forget what I said. It's a shrapnel rifle. As he's firing, Deku's firing back with his shrapnel rifle, picking off, taking down one of the vandals with Mina dual wielding her two shock pistols, taking down a vandal, a drag or two. Kaminari takes out the other vandal with a wire rifle, and Kirishima rushes forward and takes down two drags, while the other commanding vandal that's on their team says, "Aim for captain, take down shield." Yes. As they do this, they just start focusing fire. The captain tries to use his little short teleportation to get away. Deku literally tackles him and not breaks it, but sort of just tackles him before he can do it and knocks him out Kuh! It's I captured the captain, so he's good, Deku. Reward later. Now we tie up. They just sort of hog tie him, and they just sort of lug him back. He's search for orders. Yes. Search for orders. See why here. As he just sort of rummage through the killed Elixni, or fallen. They're no longer Elixni, they're fallen. The killed fallen. And they sort of look through, and they don't really find anything interesting. They're just geared, pretty much. Their gear isn't as good as theirs, but they're standard gear. As they're looking, Deku takes a second, and wait a second, runs over to the stealth vandal and sees, and he manages to grab his little stealth module and hands it to Kaminari. And says that maybe Kaminari or Kirishima. I would say he leaves it up to them to decide, and they just sort of rock paper scissors, rock paper scissors shoe, rock paper scissors shoe, or something along those lines to decide who gets it. And I'll say in the end, Kirishima gets it because he's a frontline fighter. So he'll like use it to go invisible and like sneak up on the enemy. While Kaminari's in the back taking pot shots with his wire rifle. But I digress. As this is happening, they sort of like bring him back before, and like the Vandal calls in like, "We found devils lurking. Call Kel." And as that said, they all just sort of meet. The three of them, like the four of the like Deku squad, meet the Kel, and they sort of like bow before him. It's like, yes. The Vandal is like standing up, like sort of head bowed. He's like, "We find devils, Captain, wandering with crew. No others that we know of." Yes. Is this true? Yes. Kel of Lions. He's like, Send them to the Inquisitors, is what I'll call them. They'll find the information. Good job, you all. You did well. You four, stand up. You are being transferred. And I'll say they're like 18 at this point. I don't know like when they're mature or not, so I'll just say 18, like people. But as I digress, they say a baroness, one of the baronesses, a baroness in this sector has sent requests for troops and supplies. So we will send you and we will send you with the supplies and such. Notify your caretakers and your, like, I guess, overseers, which I would say. And they, like, go tell their parents, and they all get their, like, weaponry. Deku's still rocking that pitch black with white, while the rest have, like, are still in the lion's colors. As they're, like, walking forward, Vandal's, like, making sure all the supplies there. And as they, like, see, like, the four of them walking up, he's like, "Wait." Like, sort of, like, talks to them in Lixney and just says, Yes, you are the ones we are expecting, yes. Who is commander, or leader?" As they say this, they all just sort of like, "You are squad. You need leader." And they all just sort of like point to Deku, like, "He's our leader." He's like, "Ah, I see. Welcome aboard. We will be there shortly." And as they're going through this, they just sort of talk a bit, like, to these, like, Vandals and such, and like a few, like a dreg or two that talk about, and they ask them about the Baroness. Oh, sorry. And they speak like, "So what's the Baroness like?" and such. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't talk like this, but you know, we don't really get that insight. We just get their thing, so I'm just forwarding something saying they really aren't different like us. And they say the Baroness strict, not like many others, but more so. You will see when we get there. They're like, alright. Now I don't know why some of you Lixney talk like this, but some of them do, apparently. But as I continue, they get down and touch down. Like a Vandal is like there to make sure the supplies are all there. They're like, "Who are you?" We were sent because apparently she called for some reinforcements. It's like, maybe she did. I don't know. "Supplies all here?" Yes, we were told to count it. Several crates of, like a crate of ether rations, crates of ammo, and like little things of ammo, and like a few shanks. Like, "Good. Come, we're going. The outpost is this way." As they're sort of walking, they sort of like, just like keep their guard up, because they have heard, like before they touch down, they're like, "There have been reports of bulls in area. Keep eyes out." Yes. As they like sort of drop down, and like as they drop down, they're like securing the area. Kaminari is just like using his scope to like look through the trees. They see a vandal, like sort of like in his invisibility. They like sort of point their weapons at, like, and he's like, "Calm down." He's like, "Supplies here, yes?" He's like, yes, sir. The supplies are here. Come, we gotta make it back to the outpost." As this is happening, they just sort of follow him. And as they say this, they just follow him around. And they get down to the outpost, but then they just hear a couple of... As this is happening, they sort of look up and see what's happening. Like I say, they like sort of like take cover a bit and see what's happening. The Baroness's little outpost is being assaulted by a captain. Several dregs. Like a captain, a dozen dregs, and several vandals with I'd say several shanks in support. And they're just sort of firing upon their position, like, and just with little blasts of little shrapnel energy and such. As this is happening, they see the Baroness is like taking cover and like taking shots, taking care of a drag or two, and just same. And then, like, they sort of talk to the Vandal. We take out Captain. We should try to take out the Captain, right? We got pure shot on him. Like, if his shields are down, and then a second later, like, a grenade gets hit, and Kaminari's like, his shields are down, do I take the shot? The Vandal's like, do it! As this shot happens, it goes straight through one of the Captain's eyes, and then goes through, and then hits another eye on its way out. Just... A couple of Vandals look down and, like, look over and see him. They just, like, do, like, a little war cry, just start firing upon that position. At this point, the Baroness, like, looks over and just sees, start taking cover. Kaminari took cover, like, climbed a tree a bit and just started taking, like, little not pot shots, but shots at, like, the Vandals. And, like, the Vandals who are trying to keep control of the situation and, like, trying to retreat, while Kirishima moved up with a shrapnel rifle. Mina moved up with her dual shock pistols, and Deku moved up with his forget the word. It's like is it shrapnel rifle? Shrapnel rifle or scorch rifle or something. I forget these names. I'm sorry. As they're moving up, as they're moving up, not Corona. As they're moving up, they're sort of just, like, constantly, like, they kill all that, like, entire crew. As they, like, the Baroness asks, like, is the supplies okay? And they're like, yes. They're like, alright, get up. And she asks, why is there 4 more people here? She's like, we were told that you requested it. Like, I never requested such an order. And as she says that, they're like, well, our transmitter has been buggy, so it can be like, oh, dang, and just like bangs on it, and it's just like, this transmitter has been acting up. Any of you know technology? Kaminari, like, sort of raises his hand, like, I've been learning a little, but not a lot. She's like, fine, you'll do, and just like sort of says, check it out, see if you can fix it. And he's like, yes, ma'am. Excuse me. But it's like, any of you know how to like stealth module? She's like, Kirishima's like, I do, mom. She's like, alright. Our sentry on this sector has been taken down. You'll take up his position. Keep your thing on. And then the rest is like, Mina. And she's like, well, one of the men, go search the bodies. As she says, and you, we need to get a search, like, perimeter sweep out there. So she chooses Deku and tells him that he will take a few dregs and a couple of shanks with them to check out the nearby city to see if there's any new activity. So as they're moving along, Deku just sort of like goes and gathers the 3 dregs, like, come! The Baroness says we have to search this area. As this happens, the dregs are kind of resistant at first, and like, because one of them sort of like the whole idea of that the House of Panther. And I'll take a note to say that a lot of people several of the Fallen notice that Deku wears the panther like thing instead of the lions thing. It's the House of Panther. As he's like, come, he sort of like leads the dregs as he like keeps them together, and he's like, keep an eye out, and has the dregs on like high alert just in case like another Fallen, like more of the bulls show up, or the devils, just in case. Like, he asked them, have they received reports of any devils in the area? One of the dregs are like, no, we haven't. This is a female dreg. She's just like, no, we haven't. Just normal bulls and bulls. He's like, Like, why? No reason, just curious. Now, as they continue forward, they sweep through the city. And so sweep through the city, and yeah, this will be a good part to end it off. They arrive at the city, sort of checking it out, and go from store to store. At this point, they're just like checking for something, and as they're in like a store with like knives and such, like just going through stores, Deku finds a Kakuri. If you know what Kakuri is, good on you. If you don't, maybe I'll add a picture. Maybe. It's keyword. Keyword, yes. But Kakuri is like a sort of like a curved knife in a way. It's like a boomerang knife. It looks like it's just a weird looking knife. That's very big. And as they're moving this, they sort of like hear noises, and they're like, what? The other drakes have like found better knives and have taken them. They sort of like run up and like look out the windows while staying in cover, and they see FOTC, or what are else known as Forces of the Cities in this. And so as this happens, they sort of like take acknowledgement, and like some of the dregs are like, let's go, let's kill these, let's kill the stealers. And as this is happening, like Deku sort of holds them back, saying wait, and like points into one of the buildings. They can obviously see like a couple of dregs. As the FOTC are moving, they just sort of just hear a couple of shock pistols go off, and that they are being shot at. They literally just start like, as they're like falling back, they like take cover, and like as they like the vandals and like the dregs fall down, they're eventually taken out. And Bell says, like radios this in to the Baroness, saying, we found some humans, Baroness. What should we do? And as they're saying this, they're like, and he's like, if I may give my personal input, if you don't find it rude, I say we follow the humans, cuz I'm pretty sure it's been a long time since like the last report, when was the last report of humans in this area? And the Baroness says, while, long ago. Very well. Follow, do not engage. It's like, yes, ma'am. As they sort of just like follow quietly, you sort of get to a point like where the humans like duck under stuff. And Deku tells them to like stand by here in this alley. As they do that, Deku just sort of like sneaks up and manages to climb up a wall. And as he like gets over, he sees 4 squads, 3 of which are being led by a Guardian. And that group then says, yeah, we didn't run into anything else aside from the like usual couple of dregs and vandals. Nothing much. As this is happening, they like sort of like bring up like a map and says, there's several like 2 bug outposts, 3 outposts of bulls, House of Bulls here. And then there's like 2 House of Devil outposts here. If we play our cards right, we can end up gaining these 2 to try to kill each other. Thought we heard reports of another fallen house here. We haven't found anything yet. So as this is being said, like Deku like doesn't anything, and then a ghost is like out like looking at this. He's like, "Dead men, the ghost and the ghouls." Sort of like radios this in very quiet. He doesn't even try to radios this in. He's like sort of looking at it. Then out of nowhere his thing goes like, and one of the ghosts like hear this and they look up. It's like fallen up above. As this happens, a hunter like looks up, pulls out her pistol, and goes. It's a hand cannon. He like sort of falls back and just starts running, like just running side from the building. He like talks to the dregs like, "Been spotted. Get in sewers." And as he's running along the rooftops a bit, the hunter has like managed to get up and she's just firing. He's taking his like scorch rifle or shrapnel rifle, going. As he like gets off, he like jumps and gets like hit in the shoulder and like falls off. As she's like about to like jump, she like jumps up and then he like does a quick one and just pulls out the thing and headshots her. And just the guardian's body just goes like and it falls off and crashes onto a car. Well, as they get down, a warlock sees this and then he jumps down. He's like, where'd Tsuyu go? And this is, the warlock is Ida. No, wait. The warlock is Momo. Like, where'd Tsuyu go? As this happens, it just, like, revives. She's like, oh, mother! And just, like, curses. And then as that happens, Deku, like, tells for the drakes to, like, get below into the sewer system. And as they're running through, the ghost says, "We've lost sight of them. Did you see that fall?" And they sort of talk to the ghost, saying, "That fallen's colors was not one of that I've seen before. What colors was it wearing? It's wearing white and black. Not a color I've seen." And they sort of like trying to run through the records. Nah, none that I've seen either. So as they go through, they talk to the hunter and like sort of like, "You got killed by a vandal. When was the last time that happened?" "It was ages ago." "Shut up. You got lucky shot off." She's like, "I need to be more careful, but I got reckless." "Yes, I got reckless. I thought to capture him, but you got shot off before I could do anything." But as I digress. As they were doing this, like, four, like, I guess the vandals in them and the shanks are running down the thing. As they're going through, an alligator snaps up and grabs one of the vandals and just, like, kills it instantly and drags them down the sewer. As this is happening, they're fleeing the city. Some of the squad of the FOTC that doesn't have a guardian sees the gang of Lixney or Deku's squad. There we go. Deku's squad pulling back into the forest. They like see and like sort of take a picture. As Deku sees this, he just like fires a couple of shots, like trying to get them to get down. He sort of like take a snapshot, like when the ghost does, like. As this happens, it just fires and like sort of hits. It goes, "Ow!" And then like a sniper takes out like the shank and like two shanks and not two shanks, but a shank and a drake. As this happening, it's like Deku just starts hauling it. Like the shank can keep up, but the drake's like, "I can't keep up." And this drake's name is Toga. Yes, Toga. And as they're running, they're trying to get away, but he just sort of like picks her up and just starts running and gets shot and sort of like, oh. And they sort of like run away from the actual section. And the forces don't pursue. They just like let them run away and they hide away in a cave behind a waterfall. As this is happening, Momo, Tsuyu, and Ida just sort of look over the body and says, "These house colors, they are not known to us." It's like, I don't know where they could be from. And I'll say Ida's a striker titan. Momo's, a not stormcaller, but Yeah, Stormcaller, and Suyu likes to use arcs like the Blade Dancer. As they're running away, they sort of just like, oh, that was close. And they sort of like take and lean, like look at the sigils. They don't really have that much, so they say, well, with how we don't know these colors, they could just be like a mercenary or just free roaming gang. Like, probably. Especially with that one phone wearing all black and white. I've never seen one. They like sort of all compare notes and just say they haven't seen one like that. And as I digress, they sort of make it back to the outpost and say that, oh, it's like he talks with the Baroness and tells them like what he overheard of the ghouls and ghosts and the FOTC talking about, saying that they found 3 bulls and 2 devils bunkers, but they haven't destroyed them yet. But it seems they have not found Oz. He's like, were you followed? He's like, no, we hid long time. We hid a long time before we came home. Like, okay, get yourself patched up. And what about the Drakes? The other Drakes? They did not make it. But they seem confused about colors. Our colors. We are not known to them. Maybe they'll think we are mercenaries or something. Like, possibly. Go get yourself patched up. And Toga just sort of follows him. And the Shank just like sort of hovers around him as well. They just follow him. And he's just like, and just sort of just stays with Deku. And Toga just sort of like follows very closely. And with like the bunks that come up, they sort of like all get bunks. And then Toga's like sort of forced to sleep on the ground, I guess. Deku feels kind of bad after like she did like help him a bit, like patch himself up. So he like sort of like sees a pillow and like tosses it like a pillow and a blanket and just puts the blanket on her. She's like looks up and he just like goes back to bed. He's like, and before that they all like joked about how on his first like second mission he gets shot. They all like shut up. As that's happening, they all just sort of like, they all just fall asleep. And that will be the end of this first part. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And it was pretty decently long. Tell me if there's like others, like what other people from My Hero Academia you would like me to add as guardians. Because I won't do a lot, but like give me like, I've already had Ida, Momo, and Suyu, so who else could I add? And remember, Kaminari, Shido, and Kirishima are already fallen. So, tell me what you guys think, and thank you again for watching. And goodbye.